This is the Board of Education meeting for which adequate notice under the Open Public Meetings Act was provided by written notice on April 7, 2017 to the Courier News, the Echo Sentinel, the Star Ledger, Tappan, DeWarren, and the clerks of the Borough of Watchung and the townships of Greenbrook, Long Hill, and Warren. Roll call, Mr. Stiles.
Ms. Barone?
Here.
Mr. Collins? Here. Mr. Mizia?
Here.
Mr. Fahey? Here. Ms. Spector?
Here.
Mr. Hunsinger?
Here.
He's here somewhere.
Mr. Mines? Here. Mr. Master Batista? Dr. Shabilsky? And Mr. Morrison?
Here. Rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, be it hereby resolved that the board move into executive session to discuss confidential personnel matters and the CSA contract, after which action may be taken. It is expected that the matters discussed in executive session will be made public as soon as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Great. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back into public session. There is no board correspondence this evening, is that correct? Correct. All right, next thing we will do is move to reports and presentations. Ms. Jewett?
I am going to reserve my comments for the presentation, so I have nothing at this time.
I am going to do the same, so I have nothing at this time.
Yeah, I wish I could. I got a really brief report, and I do apologize because I know there's a big presentation, but I do have to give you the 6-month report on the school bus emergency evacuation drill, which took place on May 10th between 7 and 7:20 a.m. here at the high school. Essentially, all of our routes were checked. The person in charge was Janet Trienta Fuel. Oh, I forget it. Janet T., our transportation coordinator. One of these years I'll get it in there, I promise. Sorry, Janet. But if anybody wants to see the report, it's on file in the business office. And it was okay.
Excellent. Is that it? Moving to our student representative reports.
We have quite a few announcements today. We are pleased to report that 2 of our students have been selected as winners of the National Merit Novartis Scholarship as part of the National Merit Scholarship Competition. They are Nicole Wang and Jenny Yan. We are also pleased to announce that WHRHS junior Clara Citarella has been selected by the staff of Watchung Hills Regional High School to receive a Certificate of Merit from the Society of Women Engineers. This is awarded to a junior and/or senior at each high school who demonstrates high achievement in mathematics and science. 11 students from our fine arts and photography classes participated in this year's 7th Congressional District Art Competition held on Saturday, May 13th at Merck & Co., Inc. in Kenilworth, New Jersey. The following students were invited to attend a reception and exhibit their artwork by Congressman Leonard Lance: Odalis Barahana Ordonez, Ruchi Biswas, Martina Cruz, Alyssa Inaccio, Anna Kaplan, Rachel Minihan, Fiona Mulvey, Michaela Rebello, Sophia Sue, Jordan Weiland, and Natalie Zurich. Watchung Hills student Diana Sarico was accepted to Governor's School of Engineering. One of our students, Michael John Maloney III, has earned the rank of Eagle Scout, the highest award in scouting. To attain the rank of Eagle Scout, a Boy Scout must demonstrate leadership, service, and outdoor skills. They are also required to do a service project that benefits the community. The Watchung Hills Science League holds 4 events, 25-question tests, from January through April, and scores are submitted online. Team plaques are awarded to the top 10 teams in each science category: Biology 1 and 2, Chemistry 1 and 2, High School Physics, and AP Physics C. The final Science League results are as follows. Overall team results: Biology 1, team 8th place statewide; Biology 2, team 4th place statewide; Chemistry 1, team 10th place statewide; Chemistry 2, team 2nd place statewide; High School Physics team 6th place statewide; Physics team 6th place statewide. Individual plaques are also awarded to students who placed in the top 10% in each area. Those students are Biology 1 to Manthan Naik and Maya Zhang, Biology 2 to Michelle Shui, Zachary Young, and Jason Yi. Chemistry 1 to Nilay Trivedi, Chemistry 2 to Erin Howe and Olivia Zhu, High School Physics to Calvin Lee and Vincent Dye. 29 students were inducted into the Triumph Music Honor Society on April 20th in the Watchung Hills Regional High School Performing Arts Center. 6 of the inductees were named to the chapter's executive board, co-presidents Andrew Morrison and Jordan Reynolds, Vice President Ethan Marmolejos, Secretary Hannah Malillo, Treasurer Emily Ricciardi, and Historian Allison Horvath. The guest speaker at the ceremony was Frank Troika of Texas, a lifelong music teacher and director of bands at the junior high school and national levels. The junior semi-formal was held at the Pines Manor in Edison on April 21st. There were approximately 400 students in attendance. It was a lovely evening of dining and dancing. Students and faculty members had a wonderful time. On April 24th, all 8th grade students were invited to attend our annual 8th grade orientation. The evening began with staff introductions, followed by a question and answer period with our current students. 8th graders then proceeded to small breakout sessions to meet and speak with their guidance counselors and peer leaders. This 30-minute session was followed by a sports and activities fair. Parents were invited to attend the evening's final event. Bill Partica, President and CEO of Gerber, spoke at WHRHS on Tuesday, April 25th, on behalf of the Future Business Leaders of America Club. Bill discussed his rise to CEO, and he was joined by a millennial member of the staff and his hiring talent. They discussed the current workplace hiring and what companies are looking for in 2017. The WHRHS Annual Care Club Spring Fling took place on Thursday, April 27th in the North Cap. The combined total of staff and students was approximately 60 people. Everyone enjoyed a buffet dinner and dancing to music by a DJ. 2 students who are turning 21 years old and will not be returning to Watchung Hills in September were honored. On April 28th, the annual jazz concert was held in the PAC. The concert featured co-curricular instrumental offerings, the WHRHS Jazz Band, Saxophone Quartet, Sophomore Sax Quartet, Brass Quintet, String Ensemble, and the All-Star Dixie Band. Also included in the concert were 3 senior vocal soloists. Our Spring Dance Ensemble performed for our community on May 18th and 19th in the PAC under the direction of Ananda Carmody. The concert showcased choreography from Dance Ensemble, the Advanced Dance class, and work from WHRHS's guest choreographer, Mark Roxy from the Roxy Ballet Company.
And for an athletic update, the athletic department would like to thank Mrs. T and the bus drivers in the transportation department for their support and dedication to our programs. The intricate scheduling and task of safely transporting 23 teams this spring to and from practices and contests 6 days a week is no easy feat. Thank you. The Buildings and Grounds Department once again saved the day as we began our county tournament season as planned. Throughout the season, they did their best and worked through the less than favorable weather to ensure the clock started on time. Thanks, B&G, for all you do. And as the 2017 spring season winds down, here are the latest results. So in baseball, there are 15 wins and 10 losses. The team begins their NJSI AA tournament as they take on Bridgewater Raritan at home. And we just found out that they did win, 3-2. And for softball, there are 19 wins and 7 losses. Tina Zoppi had her 100th career hit as the Lady Warriors had a 7-0 victory over Warren Hills. The Lady Warriors have advanced to the second rounds of the NJSIAA tournament as they take on Scotch Plains Fanwood. Girls track, congrats to the Lady Warriors track and field team with a 3rd place finish in the Somerset County meet. The girls 4x400 placed 2nd overall and set a new scroll record in 4 minutes flat for the event, which they broke last week. And for boys track, 12th overall in the conference championship and 8th overall in the county championship.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
And girls softball won as well
Today.
Can I ask a question? The artwork that was exhibited at the Congressional District Art Exhibit, will that be shown at the school at all? During art festival, or?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Bertelli. I don't know the answer to that question.
The work will be on display for the Spring Arts
Festival.
in the school atrium on June 5th.
Okay, good, thank you.
And that will include the works from the congressional,
A number of the pieces.
A number of them, I don't know specifically, we're gathering the artwork now, that's up to the student's choice if they want to enter those specific pieces.
Okay.
Great.
But my guess would be that most of those artists will be represented in that show.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Bertelli.
thank you.
Convenient to have you here.
Yes.
All right, I'll now turn it over to Ms. Jewett to lead us through the progress report on the strategic plan.
Okay, so I'm just going to introduce it. We have a number of special guests here tonight who we hear from instead of me for a change, which is always nice. So I do want to thank all of you for coming out. Those of you who are here just to support the folks who will be presenting, but most of you in here played some role in either the creation or, in fact, everyone here, because I think just about everyone here is a parent or a community member or a student or a staff member. So you've all played a part in the actualization of our strategic plan. October of 2015 was when we developed our 3 overarching strategic plan goals, having to do with health and wellness, overall wellness, social emotional wellness, rather, of our students and our staff, our post-secondary learning and planning, as well as innovative, interdisciplinary, and creative learning. And so we are nearing the end of our first year of our action plans, of carrying out our action plans that were developed toward the realization of these goals. And so we have a number of special guests here tonight to speak about that. And this is actually, you can think of this as part 1 of a 2-part presentation on all of the work that has been done by the students and the staff toward the actualization of the strategic plan. We had about 5 committees came out of the strategic plan action plans. We had our wellness committee, which also calls themselves Strategic Edge, Healthy Edge, that you will hear about a little bit later. Our post-secondary planning committee, our diversity committee, our alternative scheduling committee, and our senior experience committee. So I am just going to recognize each of those co-chairs, and if you can just stand up as I say your name. Ms. Kumpf and Ms. Tobin. Ms. Raimondo, who was unable to be here, she actually just returned from a leave, from a maternity leave. Mrs. Angela Ostro, Dr. D. Giovanna and Mr. McConnell, Ms. Madigan and Mr. Searfoss, and Mr. Kruger and Mr. DeLesio. So they worked coordinating their committees, which had participants. They included parents, students, staff members that worked. They're going to share their work this evening. And then on June 6th, there are a couple of other of our performance indicators that were part of our strategic plan goals that didn't fit under the committees, but that actually our entire staff worked on throughout the year related to interdisciplinary learning. And then one of our performance indicators that the board will actually be tackling at its board retreat in June. So I am going to call Mr. Alexis up just to say a few words as well, and then we'll turn it over to the presenters.
Thank you, Liz. Before we begin with the strategic plan progress, we begin where we regularly begin with the vision, and you've heard about this for quite some time now, probably into the 4th year, almost 5th year of hearing about the vision for the high school and where we are moving in terms of not only an instructional program, but the plan for learning and growing for the entire community. And what was interesting when I heard Natalie mention that Bill Pardica, the CEO of Gerber, came on April 25th, and he identified the qualities and characteristics and what they look for to hire people in 2017. It was perfectly aligned with what we're trying to accomplish. And when you look at different K-12 districts, when you look at other high schools, when you look at colleges and universities, they all talk about the same skills and understandings. So we are committed, and we have sustained this effort to develop critical and creative thinkers who communicate and collaborate effectively. At the heart of this is a culture of inquiry, where we provide students with experiences where they can work together to solve problems and come up with creative ideas to do that. But we also lay the foundation for social emotional learning. And we believe very seriously in this culture of acceptance that we have at the high school, and we continue to work hard at that. But we're also interested in helping students develop an understanding of multiple perspectives. We're interested in modeling empathy for our students, and our faculty as a whole is doing a great job with that. We're interested in helping students become more self-aware. And laying that foundation not only provides a healthy balance to their educational experience, it gives them opportunities to learn from their aesthetic and athletic experiences in the co-curricular and athletics program. It helps them not only learn to be resilient, to move past obstacles and to collaborate in doing that. But their academic achievement rises when they have that foundation in place. And so the last part of our vision deals with the reflective process. And if we are going to continue to learn and to grow, to embrace differences and to prepare for this increasingly complex world that we live in, we need to understand our experiences and where we are coming from and how that is going to inform our future path. So this is a report on our progress, but really it's part of this reflective exercise that we engage in on a regular basis. So with that, I'm going to introduce Mrs. Tobin and Mrs. Kumpf to come forward and talk about the Health and Wellness Initiative.
And just a note to the board, so you know how we organized the presentation. The strategic plan has 3 overarching goals, and then each of the goals has corresponding performance indicators. So each of the co-chairs are going to speak to the work that their committee did towards the corresponding performance indicators. So just so you have this as your reference, but it is all on the slides as well. If you guys could just introduce the next phase after you. Thank you. Okay. Hi. How do we make this go?
Okay. Hi, I'm Julie Kumpf, and as you heard, Patricia Tobin and I have co-chaired the Wellness Committee as part of the first goal of the strategic plan. Our goal throughout this has been to create and expand services and programs that will contribute to the wellness of our school community. It's a big topic, it's an exciting topic, and so we're here to tell you what we've been doing kind of this year. As we started out, we wanted to take a comprehensive look at things to kind of guide our planning. So we took a look at what we already do at Watch on Hills for wellness and social emotional development for our community here, because there are a lot of things we already do, so we didn't want to ignore that, and we wanted to build on that. We also did research, and we looked to see what other schools were doing, what research was showing. There's a lot of schools doing things about wellness these days, so it was exciting to see what's out there and what we might want to look into. And then finally, we wanted to look at all that and then see what we could do here to improve and create and expand programs. So that was our perspective. As you can see from the performance indicators there, our goals have kind of been, with the wellness situation, is number one, to stress the importance of wellness, to educate ourselves, our community, students, parents, faculty, about the importance of wellness and why we're even focusing on it as it is. So one of the things we want to do is make sure that people know that we have a focus on this and we think it's important. Secondly, we wanted to make sure that wellness information, the programs, the activities, anything that we can learn about wellness, that people had the opportunity to find out about it. Not just one assembly a year or one article a year, but we wanted to make sure that we presented wellness information to be available through all kinds of realms: technology, curriculum, presentations, a wellness day. We thought a variety of things would be a good idea to help people get a taste of wellness and learn a little bit more about it. And then finally, we wanted to make sure that people were aware of what we were doing. We could do all this, but if we weren't aware if people were not aware that this was sort of geared towards their wellness, they might miss it. So we wanted to make sure that people are aware. We're going to show you some of the stuff we've been doing this year, and we have already started to reach out to faculty, to some community groups, to the PTO, with some of the things we're doing, and it's been exciting. There's some interest and enthusiasm out there. Some of the kids have already reflected on some of the things they've heard their teachers say, their parents say about wellness, so it's exciting, and it looks like we're starting to get the word out there a little bit.
Okay, so our progress so far. We took all the information and we broke it up into many subgroups, and we have many people involved in this. Several students, teachers, parents. We have a suggestion box, not only for the students, which is right there in the corner, where students can anonymously put in their suggestions. When we put this out to the kids through GLC and ASC, we really emphasize the healthy edge. This is not a complaint box. This is, hey, can we do something positive? For example, a student put in there, can we look into cleaning products that are a little bit healthier, that are more organic? That I thought was a very healthy suggestion that a kid made. We also have one of these boxes in a faculty room, for faculty to add suggestions. And a teacher made suggestion about looking into the timing of testing, and it just brought to light what was on a teacher's mind. So we empty those and we share them with administration. Our lunch lounge is also, I think where you do your executive session, in here. There's the big sign that you see probably when you went in there. It's been very popular. Kids can just come by, come in, come out, have conversations. Different topics are discussed in there, and different programming will be going on in the future. Right now, we're in the gathering information of what we can actually do in 40 minutes. And say, hey, we're going to start a reading circle. We're going to have this kind of conversation or this speaker. And it's during lunch, so kids have the freedom to stop by whenever they're interested in something. We have a Healthy Wedge website that you can find on our website under the WHRHS tab. If you go down, you can find our website, and we've had parents, teachers, students send us articles, information that has to do with wellness. And this is a great spot on our own website to put together all of this information to share it with everyone. Our school events, this goes back more to what Julie was saying about we already do so much here, and we don't want to forget what we already had in place. On any given day, you can see bake sales for charitable events, kids that are working towards funding for a variety of things. We have social things like Skylar, the hypnotist. So we already have social components that are going on in school. We just wanted to formally recognize what we were doing. So we have a committee that just looks at school events that deal with wellness. Our outreach to faculty has happened in department meetings, at faculty meetings, discussions at PTO meetings, and Julie has reached out to the Municipal Alliance, so they're very aware and connected with us about future wellness programs. Our homework-free zone, we've had twice this year, as you can imagine. The kids love it, not only the kids, many parents have reported back to us. They like this homework-free zone. It's given them time to connect with their family during a break from school. And the stress is relieved from not having to worry about homework over these breaks that we've had. So it is something that I believe we're looking to move forward in next year to continue to do. Our next step, that's going to happen 2 days from now, a day in the life of a Watch on Hill student. We're excited about this. We've decided as administrators and a few teachers to say, let's be the first ones to get into a classroom with a 9th grader, a 10th grader, a senior, a student with AP classes, CP classes, A classes, special education classes, VOTEC students. We have a sampling of all of those kids, and all of the administrators and a few teachers are going to follow the schedule of a student this Thursday. These students know it's happening, so we're not just stalking them through their day. They know that they've been asked to participate in this, and on Friday, we're going to get together to debrief, to find out what we saw, have the opportunity to have a discussion with the student about what the rest of their day was like. When did you have time to do the homework that was assigned? Does your day usually flow like this? Is this how your class is? So we can really have a perspective through their eyes. We're going to continue this next year, and there are many teachers already excited in this. We're going to extend this next year and opening it up to teachers, so we'll have more teachers follow around a student for a day. Our Classroom Curriculum Wellness Day is going to take place in November. That is where we're going to take an academic stance related to, if you're in a history class, we're going to have a lesson that's a history lesson, but also has a wellness component to it. And we're going to work on that in our department meetings in the fall. We have a school-wide wellness day that will happen at the end of next year because it takes so much planning. So much really needs to go into this, so we really do need a lot of planning, and that's going to take place at the end of next year. And we have the faculty, we're polling now to see what they would like. It's wellness for our students, but it's also wellness for our staff. So we're looking into things that we can possibly bring on-site that teachers can do after school, they can do during their lunch period, stop by. We've had vision clinics here before. We're looking into more things that the faculty actually wants, so we'll have a survey going out to them. So much going on in Wellness Committee. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, so I'd like, if any board members have any questions between each presentation, I think it'll give you the opportunity to not have to remember what you wanted to ask or going through, so. Do we have any questions from board members? No? I have one. Are the administrators doing the whole day?
We're doing the whole day. We are meeting at 7:20, so we are prepared to go into 7:30 into class, and when that bell rings at 2:15.
Excellent. Great. Thank you very much.
Actually,
Oh, go ahead. Yes,
so
sir.
how do you guys, have you done it?
Thursday.
And how did it feel?
No, we're doing it this Thursday. Oh, we're doing it this Thursday.
Yes, we are all doing this Thursday. We'll let you know.
I would like to.
Too exhausting.
Are you ready?
I have a feeling we're going to be beat by the end of the day. It's going to be
yeah.
exhausting.
Luckily, we don't have to go home and actually do the homework. So.
You should.
The next group is the Diversity Committee, Dr. DiGiovanna and Terry McConnell.
Thank you. All right, thank you. So we were tasked with the idea of bringing to fruition this item about creating a diversity committee, looking into issues regarding acceptance, respect, and support throughout the school. So I think, do we have the performance indicator? Yeah. And so we decided the first thing we need to do is form the committee, and we're very fortunate to have had a lot of response from the faculty. We have about, I think about half the English department on our committee, actually, so it's like a department meeting for them whenever we meet. Also, a few other faculty members. We've had input from 3 different parents and about 5 or 6 different students. And I also would like to thank particularly the Diversity Club, led by Jamie Lott-Jones, and also my club, the GSA, for their input into the work we've done so far. So what we've really done is, at first when we met, we had a lot of great ideas about stuff that we thought would be great, and then we realized we needed some more information and how we're going to roll those out in a way that really would be most effective. So we focused very quickly on trying to get a survey completed of the students of the school, and basically to see how they perceive Watchung Hills as a diverse place, and to what extent do they consider it diverse in a whole range of indicators, to what extent do they experience either positive or negative aspects of acceptance and respect from fellow students, from faculty and staff, and then what other things are on their mind. So that took us a long time to kind of narrow down, and we've actually continued to narrow it down, and I'm happy to report it's actually gone out. So starting tomorrow, the students will answer the survey in their social studies and English classes. So social studies are doing 9th and 10th graders, English is doing juniors and seniors. And, you know, we can't force the students to answer the survey, but hopefully they'll realize that to promote change here, we need to get the correct information and fill that out. Once we have that data from the survey, and we're going to be able to break it down, we've asked questions, we've asked students to self-identify issues of race, religion, grade, and ethnicity. Then we can look more carefully about where the areas are that we might need to do some work or further education or professional development in. So that's kind of what we're looking forward to with the survey. Okay? So now that that's out, we can talk about some of the other things which Terry's going to talk about.
Yeah, one of the other things, again, we don't have a transgender policy, so what we've done is we are going to now focus on that. A couple of teachers have already looked at, some schools do have a transgender policy, so they've started to look at that, and then we're going to put that all together and obviously at some point share with you our suggestions for a transgender policy. We also met with the Diversity Club, and they're going to give us a little background, and we'll present to the student at some point a little history of our mascot and the Lenape Indian, and share with them their findings. Also, with the Diversity Day, again, as we said to the staff too, we understand that you know, this is a five-year plan, so we don't want next year, we're going to have this day, this day, this day. When I was at North Plainfield 25 years ago, we had a Diversity Day. And as Pat said about the Wellness Day, it takes a lot of planning. So our hope is to get a great deal of information from our survey that the students are taking, and then from there, work that out so that next year we can do the planning stages for 2019, where we would have our Diversity Day. So we're excited about that. Again, we're hoping, I really think most students will take the survey and will be honest with us, and therefore we can gather a great deal of information of how the students feel. I mean, we all have beliefs or perceptions, or we think they feel this way or that way, but again, we think it's great that they're going to be honest with us and give us a great understanding, and then take it from there. And for the record, Sean's done most of the work.
You didn't have to say that, Terry.
Any questions? The one question I have would be, will at least a summary of the survey findings be able to be presented to the members of the board?
Absolutely. I think our plan is, once we get the data in, to sit down with the committee, kind of see what's speaking to us, prepare some kind of summary and present it to the board, and also share it probably with schools in general.
Thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, John.
Yeah, you briefly touched on the mascot, and so you briefly touched on the mascot?
Yes.
So I was just wondering, is there a plan with that, or?
Well, the Diversity Club has been looking into it and getting the history of the background, okay? So again, we wanted them to share that with the student body at some point in time, okay? Because again, we've had it for 60 years, and I'm not sure most even have any background or anything. So they've done a nice job in trying to get the history and to share it with everyone.
Okay.
Okay.
And I would suggest for that presentation that you call on Mr. Hunsinger, since he is very well schooled in the history of the mascot, and Lenny, right?
Yep.
So,
Lenape.
I'm aware of that also.
good. Just in case you weren't. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You didn't introduce who's next.
I think it might, you know what, I should look at it, because it is.
Yes, it's you.
Just the down button that's not working now that I have to go.
Just got back. If you,
Got it. It is me.
perfect,
Okay.
yes.
So you do have in front of you the goals that we set forth, and please forgive my voice, I'm hoping I make it through this whole thing. This is really just allergies going better than it was last week. I'm not going to read over, only because you do have the goals in front of you, so I'd rather go into the next part on how we are, what progress we've made on these strategic plan goals. So I'm not going to read it again, save my voice for one thing, and give you the information that I have. So our task was to look into post-secondary planning for our students. How do we present to colleges? How do we present to businesses? What do we need to do? What research? How should we get this information? And I have to say that this started even maybe 2 years ago, so it's just coincidental kind of that it was one of the strategic plans. But every month I meet with the directors of guidance, which is actually called the DOGS, for Somerset and Hunterdon County. And it's a great session. I really think it's become a therapy session, because who wants to listen to a director of guidance complaining about all the things we have to do? So about 2 years ago, in just general conversations, coming up was grading. And we have a 5.3 total GPA that students possibly, but can't really, because we offer too many things, as our highest GPA. Some of the schools are at 6.3. Some use a 5.0. So it was really, really different and very interesting. So for the past 2 years, we've been discussing in the directors of guidance meetings, DOGS meetings,
what's going on. It's not a competitive bunch. We are all on the same page. We're all trying to figure out how to help our students in the next stages. And it's been brought up with our own guidance department. So really, this post-secondary information, as I say, started 2 years ago. In October 2015, we all met for strategic planning. And by chance, I saw all the papers written around the room, if you were part of that, questions about, oh, wow, we're really inflated, 5.3, what are we doing, what's happening to our students, how can we fix this? So formally, in October of 2015, guidance, I brought this back to guidance, and we started our conversations back then. So it's been an ongoing conversation. It's still an ongoing conversation in the directors with the directors of guidance. But information was needed on what are colleges looking for and how are we going to get this information. So through these discussions, the county directors decided to put together a survey of colleges. The survey, which I'm sure we'll get to eventually, has a lot of questions. And some of the questions you'll say, that's really not something that doesn't deal with us, and it's because another director asked to put that into the survey. But as the directors were working on this in September of this year and putting it together and getting permissions and what we should do, the task for our guidance counselors was, we've all already started at that point meeting with guidance admission reps for colleges. So we have over 100 reps that come. And we did put together a very informal survey covering some of the topics that I knew would be part of this questionnaire sent out to colleges. Weighted GPA, what do you look at? Weighted GPA, non-weighted GPA, honors courses, AP. So a lot of information. The counselors were tasked with meeting with the reps before the reps met with the students, and we filled out our own questionnaire. It became more formalized as the directors put it together. So we actually have two surveys that we've kind of put together in our minds as one. The survey that the directors put out, we put out in December. The survey at that time was sent to 400 colleges. We had 176 that responded to the survey, and the counselors have 100-plus sheets with information, almost the same information as the survey that I'm going to go into in a little bit. But that's how we developed the survey. It really took a lot of time, and I know it sounds easy to put a survey together and get the right questions, but it really was a lot of discussion with these directors, getting everybody on the same page, involving two counties. We had Morris a little bit with us, but we just couldn't get everybody together. We were trying to do as many counties as we could. But the results are very interesting, and I'm going to get to that as we go through what else we did this year besides the survey. I just want to keep you on the edge of your seat. Other information that we worked on this year with is post-secondary and transitioning ninth graders into the school was we initiated new workshops. So this October, transitioning is very hard for ninth graders. You've all been there at one time. Our students have been there too. We tried during the PSAT testing time where the 10th and 11th graders were tested. The seniors came in late. All the ninth graders met individually as small groups with their counselors and laptops. We use Naviance as one of the biggest tools, which is interactive. Parents can use it, students can use it, the counselors use it all the time, and decided this is the day, freshmen, you're going to learn how to use Naviance. So the counselors with the students with laptops started the initial steps in students getting on Naviance, showing them what Naviance is. That was new for us. It was hard. We did have a couple crashings, but for the most part, the kids were able to log in, get the gist of it, and it started that ball rolling. We also changed our freshman night around. In the past, we just had parents come in November. And really, I was doing a lot of what was done in the 8th grade, but now parents were more familiar with the terminology. This is a GPA, this is a transcript, and now they could associate. So instead, the freshman night in November was students and parents came in, and they met directly with their counselors instead of putting everybody together. So they had, again, another type of person to contact, the mentor. And we're planning to run more workshops. Another big change, which affected a lot of us, is we rotate our health programs. So I think seniors go first, whatever, it's seniors, juniors, whatever. This year, we switched the rotation. We put the ninth graders first, which we haven't done in health. So they immediately came into school, they immediately went to the health class instead of PE, which they usually had done in June, so they were a little more mature. And we were inundated with freshmen identifying themselves as everything possible that I think the health teachers had taught to them. Drugs, I was this, I think cutting, I'm this. I think we were all amazed. And Mr. Bertelli's, the health teachers and the student assistance counselors and the counselors really tried to handle this, which we weren't expecting. We talked about mentoring, and I think the students immediately found a mentor because they were categorizing themselves into everything. So, I mean, we smile about it, but it was what's going on in the health rooms. But it was a maturity thing. The students who really got that information the end of their freshman year. So this year, after we put all our heads together, we met with the health teachers, the student assistance counselors, Mr. Ritelli, Mrs. Fallon, and myself. We're going to keep that health the same rotation this year. We really talked about this transitioning and when freshmen should get this information, but we're going to tweak the program a bit more. So it is a good idea. I like that instead of now junior year, when we're dealing with all these issues, why didn't we tell them freshman year? We have them freshman year, so it's another transition for them. Scheduling, we have really tweaked scheduling so much. It's just as a lengthy process, and we've tried to individualize it as much as we can with prepping students for post-secondary education. We start scheduling actually in November, so November of the preceding year. In January, the teachers will make those recommendations. That has all preliminary recommendations. That all stays the same. In March, what we started this year was we do have a waiving process. It used to be almost like a free-for-all where students just wanted to go into, I know the teacher recommended me for this level, but I want to go in this level. There was no thought, no conversation. It really wasn't as good an educational process as we would like. So this year, what we started, which worked very well, was an initial waiver period, I guess you would call it, where students were able to waive into elective classes. In other words, an AP Chem is an elective class. So where students would normally have just said, I'm taking that as an elective without thought, without conversation, we put a little bit of personalizing it on the table for them. It really is the same waiver process for core classes. They still, it opened up communication with the entire staff, really. There were at least 5 people they had to talk with. It started with the counselor who talked to them, then they came to me, and I talked with them. The third was going to the teacher who talked to them. If it was an AP class, they also had to go to the AP teacher, so the AP teacher could say, well, how many APs are you taking? Here's the curriculum, here's the summer work. Back to the supervisor, and then back to me. So it really went full circle on communication, and I know that cut down the amount of waivers for our students and making good judgment calls on, okay, I'm taking 5 AP classes, or I'm taking a lot of honors, or on NCPs, I want to take A. So that was a really good step for us. The second part of that was the waivers for the levels, which, again, going through the same process involving the whole staff. The staff was great. They really wrote down. They didn't just write down, I don't need this student, the student doesn't do the homework, or very quick. They wrote something for the parents to read. So that also helped us in tweaking in class selection. We just started this week the development of an alumni email base. So for those of you who don't know what I'm saying or haven't had seniors, we send out what we call senior destruction letters, and I'm obligated to send through mail a letter to parents and students that we have your Cume folder, and it's very adorable. It's got your kindergarten pictures in it, and it's got samples of first grade work and second grade work, and we need you to pick that up, or we're going to destroy it, because we only have to keep, it used to be in perpetuity, now it's 100 years, your record of attendance, your transcript, and your health records. So if you would like your kindergarten pictures back, we happily will give them to you, because we just cannot store paper folders that are about this thick from kindergarten, including those cute little pictures of your kindergarten picture, first grade picture. It's very cute. So along with those letters, we also added a section on, we're developing an alumni database. Please provide us with a different email than your Watch on Hills email, and because that ends when you graduate and would be useless. We do, there are some students who chose not to give us that as we're getting the sheets back, and then there are some. So that's new for us, and I know we'll be using that, but I'm glad we're doing that, because then we have some contacts later on if we do want to send all these surveys out. And I know I'm going online. Freshman programs, we've tweaked that, as I said, the October and the November. We plan to do more with that. Let me go to the next one. Okay. Trends from the survey. Did I miss one? Let me go back.
Nope, this is it. So now we're going back to the survey to talk about what you found.
Okay, so the trends from the survey, what did this show? Again, lots of conversations with the college reps.
I'll make sure I send
We have our information from the colleges. What did it end up showing? We asked the majority of colleges, do you recalculate GPA? That was an important question, because most of the directors of guidance and our school also received a letter. What really kicked our department off was, we received a letter, a student of ours was rejected out of college, and I'm not going to say what college or the name. He wrote a very nice letter to the admissions rep and said, I wasn't accepted, I was put on the wait list. How come? And the admissions rep, who we know, because we've really gotten on nice first-name basis with some of the college reps, wrote back and said, because when we recalculated your GPA, your school showed you a 4.3, and we recalculated to a 3.8, and it just did not make the cut. In writing, documented. So brought that up in guidance and said, this is really serious now. Like, what are we doing? Are we so inflated that we're hurting our students? And that really, when I brought that up with the directors, they had also received information from other schools, the same thing, there was this recalculation. So as we talked with the college reps in the very beginning, before we sent the survey out, I think we were ready to say, I really think we're going to have to change our whole system. Panic was setting in with that. But when we got the survey back, it really was the same. Colleges looked at weighted and non-weighted. There's no evidence that I would say, oh my goodness, this is terrible. It was so close. So asking that question, there was no strong preference for weighted versus non-weighted GPA. When we asked what the most important component of was for a student's transcript in admissions, it's academic rigor. So it's not so much, all the elective things, but what academic rigor, what's the highest? That doesn't mean for a student that's in CPs, you have to take APs. But do you show that progression? You start in CPs, everybody could stay in a CP class, maybe and get a 4.0, but did you challenge yourself? Did you move to an A level? Did you try and take an honors? So they're really looking at the academic rigor on the transcript. We also gave 1 through 6, please rate the following 1 through 6, GPAs, testing, essays, recommendations. I would love to ask you, so what do you think came the highest, but I think you would know. So as much as everybody says we look at everything, GPA was definitely the highest thing they looked at, and followed by ACT and SAT scores. Low in the list were the essays, and we did talk to reps about the essays. Essays, some of them, some schools, it is very important for the essays, but some college reps know. Mom and dad paid somebody to write the essay. Your English teacher wrote the essay. Somebody else wrote the essay. So that did not come as high as we thought. And then the level of electives. So a big question for us was, do you count electives when you recalculate? Do you count electives? again, came pretty evenly. The levels, not in electives, it doesn't matter. They really want to see, are you a student who wants to see the world? You've tried all these electives, good for you. Are you a student who's very passionate? You followed the science, good for you. Or you followed the arts, great. Because that transcript really reflects the personality of the student, and that's what they want to see. So if they're not counting all these resumes we do, and the recommendations and the essays, that transcript needs to reflect the student. So how we can do that is through the electives, which could be science, art, or I'm trying everything, which is perfectly fine. The new trends, what's coming up in college application, Zeeming. Anybody have heard of Zeeming? I really didn't either, but it's now video resumes. Just beginning. I don't know, do have some of the counselors here, didn't we use a Zeeming? We were all kind of like shocked at the board, did anybody? Zeeming, but Zeeming was the new thing. And self-report applications. For those of you who don't know what self-report applications are, Rutgers was, I think, the first one we heard of a couple years ago that is a self-report application. Self-report means the student does it completely themselves. The college is going to ask, what did you get in English? I got an A. What did you get in history? Oh, A. What did you get in everything? Self-report. There's no transcript from the high school. There's no recommendation. There's no essay. It's self-report. However, at the end of senior year, when we do send that final transcript, it better meet what you said. So that is, at Penn State, and I know Rutgers are doing that, there are obviously more because the response was certainly more colleges were going to a self-report application. And I think, just talking to colleges with this, and I know I'm like blabbing, November 1st is a big deadline for our schools, December 1st, and for those of you who have students or parents here, you will no doubt get an email from a college that says, we didn't receive your application, it's April 1st, it's November 1st, it's an electronic email. Even with electronic, the entire process is electronic, even with electronic process, you have to remember the amount of applications. Let's say, like Boston College will get 24,000 applications for 1,200 position. Each application, even though electronic, might be 10 pages long with the recommendations, the resume, the transcript, the profile. So they actually have to sit in the queue, and it takes days to load all these. So the quick self-report is a little easier, so I don't know if that's a factor, but that would come up too. I'm going to try and go quick. I just have trouble with this. Okay. I'm going to go to the button to the right.
To get it off the computer.
You know what, let's hit the down button. I can do this.
Okay, good. You got it there.
Okay. So what's the recommendation for most everything for the trends? There was absolutely nothing that made us think we should be changing our grading or level structure. So the recommendation from the committee is to remain the same. And I do want to add, Lynn Raimondo is not here, but Lynn Raimondo and her committee did a survey with the staff on our leveling. Should we change our levels? A, CP, should we combine A and CP? Should we just identify English as English, just do English AP? I'm giving a for example, and the survey says no. The teachers are very happy with the way we were. Colleges are happy with the way we are presenting. So that, I'm sure Lynn will at a later time give you that information, but the recommendation from the committee right now is just, we do not need to change anything we do. I would be really hesitant to make that recommendation, and I know the committee, I have the counselors here with me, would verify that, guys? Okay, good. And is there another?
Yeah, you have
there's
one more
more.
so you can get to work.
There you go. There we go. Okay, for the next steps, I'm going to look on this because I only wear glasses. Okay. What we'd like to do in the next steps is even develop our transitioning program for the ninth graders more. Do we add groups at lunchtime, peer leaders? So that's one thing we're thinking of for next year, because it took a long time this year to get that information. We also would like to expand the use of Naviance. We started with the ninth graders in October, but would like to put more of that out, possibly run some parent groups. This year during our in-service, we did the college prep for staff that had students in high school, which was great and fun to do. We're going to look into doing the summer college application workshop for rising seniors. We work really closely, luckily, both of the student assistance counselors are on the wellness committee and they're also on guidance. So it's nice to have that because we talk about the stress and what's going on with students, and we'll work with them on developing programs to assist students. And this year, we do have a very good relationship with colleges. I'm not going to, I was going to, do you have time for me to read some of the comments from the colleges from that survey? Is that okay, or it's too much time? I'll do that in a sec. What we're going to be doing is seeing if
You know what, you can summarize those and I'll share them.
Okay.
Yeah, I can share them with the
I do
ladies.
have the pages of comments the colleges made. I do have to white out their names because they did do this for us. They gave a name, but I don't want to share that. But I do have to say that back on the survey, I'm sorry, I'm going back and forth, the 400 colleges we sent to included, and we got responses from schools, UPenn, Chicago, the Naval Academy, Notre Dame. So some of those high-level colleges, including county colleges. So the range of colleges included a great diversified group. So I believe in what they said. They backed it up with their statements. And what I'll do is I'll write this out and I can pass it on. Because it is interesting to read, but it's pages long, and they were very honest. I think we're good.
Any questions? Yes, Ms. Barone.
I just want to be clear about the goals about post-secondary learning. So it really just, it's not post-secondary, it's not broad about post-secondary.
It's planning for post-secondary learning.
So it's really about planning for college, but not like any type of other type of post-secondary learning?
Actually, no, there is, so this presentation focuses on the committee work. What is set to go tomorrow is I'm glad you brought this up, the strategic plan, action plans. We've also been updating all of those. We just have to update it, so it's updated in the Google Sheets, and I just have to have Chris Becker update the Google site.
Okay.
And what I will do is I'll send that link to the board because there's a lot more information in there. As you can see, we already have a lot to present, so I was trying to pick and choose what we thought was good to present tonight and on the 6th, which ties into this as well. So a lot of the information on the 6th also ties into to planning for post-secondary
So when
learning.
I look at the strategic plan, action plans, because that's why I have them up.
Yes.
I'm like,
And I was actually going to update them today, but I wanted to wait till tomorrow in case anything else came up tonight that I needed to add. So so that will be updated tomorrow. I'm glad you're looking at the action plans. That's good to know.
Other questions? Right, I just have a couple quick ones.
Yes.
First of all, if we could get, copies of the survey that you laid out the information on, make it available to the board members so they can peruse it if they so wish. Did you find anything related to the idea of the SAT optional, ACT optional schools? That seems to be a growing trend, that list of schools that is going to the process of either not looking at them or making them optional, and how does that play into your thinking?
So that is when you read the comments, a lot of the schools did respond for this year, they're making it optional. I think schools are getting a feel for, okay, what is this year going to be like? It was not asked in the survey. Again, the survey was it was what are the factors you use? Please rate the factors that you use. GPA came out first, SAT and ACT were just together as a second. But the colleges that did respond did put this year we're going test optional.
Okay, thank you. And then the other question that I had is, you talking about the recommendation to maintain the current grading and the level structure. There's been a lot of discussion amongst other districts, and particularly amongst very high-performing districts in the state regarding the leveling and the grading structure. Certainly the most prominent one is West Windsor-Plainsboro. Did you look into, those type of districts where they have taken significant changes related to grading and scheduling and take that into account as part of your evaluation?
We did not, on the survey, we really just saying that the two counties and just the questions we had, I did not reach out as a group to the other schools to see conversations with the schools in the other counties. You know, as I say, there are a couple schools that have a 6.3 highest GPA. You'll see, a lot of what I'm saying makes more sense when you read the comments and see the survey. Some of the schools in recalculating will stop anything over 5.0, and they're going to recalculate, and you'll get that information as we see. In talking about the other high schools, there was one school in our group that did change with the results, because they all have the results in the survey to share with their districts. One school that did change their GPA to 5.0 because of what's said. I think, you know, there's still more discussion. This was an initial survey on this, and you know, our immediate reaction was, well, should we change right away? Do we talk to the community? Do we talk to the board on is this hurting our students? From what we saw, no. But again, it's still ongoing. We'll meet with the reps again next year because we do want to get information on SAT. So how did the SAT change go? How did all this go? So we will be opening up more questions for discussion.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, I know I have to do this again. I think, Barry, I'm just sitting here. So we have Ms. Madigan and Mr. Searfoss.
Thank you. Yeah,
I think Barry, are you in the way? Is that
There we go.
Our alternative scheduling committee looked at performance indicator B, which specifically focused on taking a look at our current schedule to see how we could potentially reallocate the time and resources that we already have here at our physical plant for cross-curricular learning and collaboration between our students.
Very nice.
So through the earlier stages of the strategic planning process and the development of this goal, it was very evident that there was a need for students to have what we call flex time. This would be an opportunity for students to choose how they use their time during the school day. And this came about because students were expressing an interest in having time to collaborate, working on group projects or group activities. And they mentioned that one of the struggles with working or living in such a big school district is it was often really hard for them to get together outside of school to collaborate. Obviously, through technology, we have those tools, but in terms of meeting as an actual group, it sometimes was a struggle with their schedules. And they also expressed an interest in getting to know their teachers better and make personal connections. So having the opportunity to continue a conversation that they had been having in class that maybe excited them or interests them, and having an opportunity to talk about baseball or some of their interests and making those personal connections. And one of the things that I think students and teachers have probably all noticed is that a lot of times at the end of the year, we say goodbye to our students, and our students say goodbye to us. And in such a big district, there are times where we will never see that student again, or maybe we'll see them for such a short amount of time that we don't have an opportunity to interact as much as we would like to. So part of the flex time, one of the goals could be for students to have a chance to speak to their teachers about their future goals, kind of forming this mentorship relationship where they could talk about their goals for college, or maybe go see a teacher in an area that they're interested, to seek advice for what they should major in college, what types of schools they should be applying to. And as you heard through the different committees this evening, this time would also be an opportunity for stress relief or wellness initiatives. Students could also seek extra help from their teachers or spend time practicing with their peers, with a teacher there to guide them. They could schedule makeup work during this time, because often it's hard with their extracurricular activities to find time to get in to see their teachers. And finally, students also express interest in working on independent research projects, and that they didn't have a lot of time during the school day to pursue their own personal academic interests. So this would be an opportunity for them to reach out to their teachers about their own personal interests. So from really getting a good understanding of the need for this flex time, we embarked on some research. We, as a committee of parents, students, teachers, and administrators, we surveyed other school districts to find out what their schedules were like, if any of them had flex time built into their schedule. If they did, how often they were doing it, how long it was, what the students were using that time for, and then some of the benefits or drawbacks that they saw to having this as part of their schedule. And we tried to get a very wide variety of schools in our survey that had similar demographics, large schools, small schools, but we did try and focus mainly in New Jersey, because our thought was, well, if it's working at these other public high schools in New Jersey, it could probably work here at Watchung Hills. We listed some of the examples of schools that we researched that had some interesting schedules: North Hunterdon, Princeton, Holmdel, St. Peter's Prep, Jersey City, and McNair Academic High School. From there, we sort of gathered all our research, took components of each of the schedules that we liked, and formed one that we think will work well here at Watchung Hills.
Very nice, Michelle, thank you. Okay, it's not me. There it is. And as Terry said before, Michelle did most of the work. Although, if you take a look at the schedule up on the board, basically what we did is we cut out 5 minutes from each period. The first time slot, we actually cut out 7 minutes, just to give us some additional time for announcements in the morning and things like that. But you can see that the flex period is not in conjunction with lunch. The morning flex time is right after time slot 2, before time slot 3, and it's a flat 30-minute time period. And then the afternoon flex time is after time slot 4 and time slot, in between time slot 4 and time slot 5. And there was a method to our madness with this. We were a little bit concerned to bump it up next to a lunch, that the kids would not take advantage of it the way that we were kind of hoping that they would just extend their lunch and just, continue along that realm. And basically what we're trying to do is encourage them to use the time for some of the reasons that Michelle mentioned, for working with teachers, doing some collaborative things with their classmates. So we were very, very intentional in keeping these flex periods away from the lunch time slot. Basically, we started out with just the morning, and then we got some really good feedback from teachers and some supervisors that it might be nice to also rotate and have it in the afternoon as well. So that's why we have, tried the 2 different schedules. The next steps, that's kind of where the vice principals come in. And, not to be pessimistic, but, like Tim Stiles, who gets concerned about...
Not to mention anyone by name,
I compare the VP to the CPA only because Tim's bottom line is, okay, everything sounds great, but can we afford it? Which, that's Tim's role. Terry McConnell, Pat Tobin, and myself, as the vice principals, everything sounds great, but can we supervise it? So our role in the summer now is going to be to take a look at all of this and deal with the logistics. What areas of the building are we closing off? Are the cafeterias going to remain open? Do we close the library up? Suppose we get 800 kids that all want to go to the library. Suppose we get 200 kids that all want to go to the same teacher. So we really have to kind of create some ground rules and determine what types of things that we need to put in place so that we don't get a situation where there's chaos in the building. Obviously, 99% of our kids are, going to use it properly, but, you know, we do have to plan ahead for those kids that might try to escape or do some things that they shouldn't be doing. So that's part of the bottom line, as Tim would put it.
The way you gotta think.
We're going to meet over the summer, the VPs. We're going to look at all the negatives and try to close those loopholes so that we don't have any issues. And then we're going to meet with the committee again in September and kind of finalize everything that concerned us as VPs. And then our goal is to have a pilot trial run sometime in December. And to me, that's going to be the biggest part, because after that trial run, then the feedback that we receive from not only the teachers, but from the kids, I think that's going to provide us with, you know, basically areas for improvement and things that we need to be more concerned about. And then from there, we'll meet again and decide, you know, is this something that we're going to do once a month? Is this something that we're going to do once a marking period? Is this something that we'll never do again, ever? You know, these are the things that we'll take a look at. But, you know, on the surface, it's very promising. I think the teachers are excited, the kids are excited, and it is something that we want to really give our best effort to try to make work. But, you know, that trial run's going to be very interesting, and then we can, you know, go from there to see what types of things we need to do for improvement. So, Michelle, thank you so much. Any questions?
Any questions from members of the board?
Just to add on to what Mr. Steerfrost and Ms. Madigan had said, you know, we have obviously before school and after school, and I think all of you, everyone who's here is involved in something right after school, so it's generally that's not time that you can see your teachers, because whether you're going to an activity or sport, and during lunch, between labs and all the other things that lunch has gotten used for, that doesn't leave a lot of time. So the students are so scheduled that we're trying to, you know, if we want to encourage more of what we put up there in terms of independent research and really, you know, utilizing your teachers as resources outside of class, you know, just like we've done with the teachers, if we want them to collaborate and plan together, we've structured time in for it to happen. We can't just say we want it to happen and hope it happens. So the same thing with the students is, you know, if we really want to foster this happening, we felt we needed to look at our structure of our time allotment and see if we could build time in for it to happen. So I think it's a nice thing to try.
Just a quick one, so clearly we all know if it doesn't work, what will happen, but if it does work, what would be sort of the end goal of day one week it would follow the schedule, and day two, the next week, it would follow the afternoon schedule? What would be the hope if it does work?
That's probably what's going to happen. We would like to alternate the morning and the afternoon, and then we would collectively decide, is this something that we want to start maybe once a month to begin, see how it goes from there. If we really like it, we might do it every other week. It really depends on how we feel the students are utilizing it, and is it something that, you know, we feel would be beneficial and that they feel was beneficial. I mean, the survey, as I said, not only going to be from the teachers, but from the students themselves. So,
I think if it does what you hope it does, it's a fantastic concept. I think kids are really going to use it well.
I hope so.
No, we hope so. I mean, you know, it does have, you know, so many great advantages. So we're, you know, if the students take advantage of it, I think it's, you know, it's going to be something that other schools are going to look at coming here to visit and say, wow, that's, you know, we're going to have, you know, schools that are going to be looking to emulate what we do.
Yeah.
And I was on the committee of the development of this particular goal, and this was certainly one of the more intriguing and more discussed items, so it was great to see it come out in this particular way. But I am curious about the issue around bumping it up against lunch. Did you look at other schools where they actually did that, and were there problems that they have? Were there, you know, pluses or minuses in schools that actually did it that way?
We didn't particularly see schools who had done it that way, but as a science teacher myself, coordinating lab time would be very difficult because we have labs that go into lunch and then we have labs that come out of lunch. So we couldn't really figure out how at Watchung Hills with our current schedule we could coordinate flex time that came up against lunch. One of the schools that was most closely related to
The schedule that we chose was Princeton High School. They actually did theirs after the second time slot. And in speaking to the students, they felt that first thing in the morning, for instance, wouldn't be the best time because they've done all their homework. They haven't had their classes, so maybe they wouldn't have as much use for that time at that point. But they felt in the afternoon or later in the morning, it would be a better use of their time.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else?
That's it. Thank you very much.
Nothing?
Thank you. You can call up your next presenters or escapees, however you want to refer to them.
Okay, the senior experience, Mr. Greg Kruger and Mr. Michael Alessio.
Great, thank you.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you.
It's always hard to follow Steve at these presentations, so we'll try to.
So Greg and I were the co-chairs of the Senior Experience Committee. He's going to talk about a little bit of the purpose of the committee and our findings over the past few months. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing in June for our seniors in their last days of high school.
So as a committee, we were tasked with creating a more unique experience for our 12th graders through their senior year. So as a group, we first started by researching other schools that already have such programs in place. We mostly found that senior experience typically means an internship or work program in which the seniors will conduct either for part of their senior year or all their senior year. There are a few schools within New Jersey that have done it or do such a program. So that's something that we have started to look into, maybe possibly develop over the next few years. We started looking into that by surveying our teachers to see if they would have interest in serving as mentors to our students to complete small projects, to complete either community-based projects or school-based projects towards the end of their senior year, really to look into something to do with, have the seniors do post-AP time, post-prom time, really keep the entire year on focus and to give the seniors, experience from September all the way through June as they graduate. So we started looking into that, and we'll continue to look into it through the 5-year strategic plan. We also discussed as like subcommittee within the committee, the idea of adding more classes to the school that could serve as an opportunity for students to receive college credit and take high school courses at the same time. Patty Grunther was looking a lot into that through some of the foreign languages. I know there are already some courses within the school that have that idea, and it'd be something that we could continue to look into to expand on throughout the entire school. Just try to... As you see here, Mike is going to tell you a lot more about it coming up. We are currently planning a Senior Career Exploration Day, which will occur on June 13th, 2017, which will give the students an opportunity to have a lot of different careers presented to them. Mike, just come on up and talk about it.
So as Greg alluded to, we first started to look and see if we could do some type of internship program at the school, and right away we kind of found that a little daunting at first because of the size of our senior class, the size of our school, and sending out that many students and finding businesses or whatnot to have our students participate in is very difficult. So we came up with an idea of kind of reversing that thought, having people from the outside come into our school and talk with our students so that we can make connections and contacts with those students with people on the outside and build up a repertoire of businesses, community leaders and people within the state in order to start to see if we can get our seniors to look at outside careers, that they are going to college and so forth, and the next big step after college would probably be their first job. So we have planned a Senior Career Exploration Day on June 13th this year. It's Tuesday, June 13th. It's going to be in the Performing Arts Center. All our seniors will attend, and we have a keynote speaker, which I'll go into, and panelists would experience in marketing, film, making, agricultural science. Is that working? Does Steve break it or anything? So that's on June 13th. Like I said, our keynote speakers are a brother and sister graduate team, Justin and Michael Benedus, class of 2002 and 2003, Watchung Hills Regional High School. I was very fortunate to have both of them in class back in those years. I found them extraordinary kids who were very, very interested in the math and sciences. Currently, they're the owners of the Beneduce Vineyards, a winery in the Pittstown section of Hunterdon County. It's a family-operated business, and their first vineyard was planted in 2009, and they opened to the public in 2012. They've been very successful. We thought it would be a good idea to have them come back as graduates of Watchung Hills Regional High School, not too far along though, within the last 10, 15 years, and talk to our students of how they went off to college, how they used their degrees, how they used their knowledge to create their own business. Because, when you talk to our students, they all want to be their own boss. We all know that at this age. So I think that's a great thing for them to see, graduates of our high school who are owners of a company, and how they struggled and how they were successful in that. So they'll be our keynote speakers. We have several other speakers for that day, including panelists. We're going to have a panel discussion on with technology folks, and entrepreneurship, finance, filmmaking, public relations. We'll have a flyer out in the next few weeks that will have a little bio of all the folks that are going to be there. And we're hoping that our seniors ask a lot of questions, with this, and find out what it really means to be an entrepreneur and all the hard work that it does take, to establish yourself, to establish a career. Obviously as 12th graders, they see it from an outside view, and we're hoping that they can get a little bit more direct view. And I think it's very nice to see some of our graduates come back and participate in this also. We turn out a great product here, and we want to make sure that our seniors see that. And after 4 years of being here, I think that's important for them to know that they have the potential to do these kind of things. So that will be on June 13th this year.
Thank you. If you could just advance it to the last slide for me.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Seeing none? Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Liz. So I mentioned earlier, these are the two remaining performance indicators that weren't addressed tonight. The first one is the expected school-wide learning results, which the board will be discussing at the retreat in June at the end of this month, which there's been work done towards this in terms of getting input from the staff that I will share with the board, and also all of the information you're getting from this presentation and the next presentation. And then performance indicator C, which is also for the third strategic plan goal, which has to do with expanding innovative opportunities for student learning within and beyond the classroom. Our next meeting we are going to have representatives, all of our supervisors will be here, as well as some teacher and student representatives to talk about all of the interdisciplinary work that they've done this year, as well as their progress towards their departmental goals that they had presented back in the fall. So that will be coming at our next meeting. Okay?
Great. I see that we have some other guests and some students that have participated in this process. If the folks that have been working on this would please stand so we can thank you appropriately. Come on, students and faculty and administrators. Excellent. Thank you very much. Moving on, this is the first opportunity for public comment. The first public comment period will be limited to agenda items for this meeting only. The second public comment period will be open to any topic. All comments are limited to 5 minutes. If you have a comment, please come up to the podium, introduce yourself and the town you represent.
And for those of you who may have just been here for the presentation and to support your colleagues, we will not be offended if you choose to leave at this time.
Particularly you, Mr. Kruger. Get home.
I'll be offended if Searfoss leaves.
Yes, Mr. Searfoss, Mr. Stiles would like to see you first thing tomorrow
All right, seeing none, we will move into board discussion. The only thing that I wanted to hit on, as it relates to board discussion, is again, the information regarding the board retreat. What's happening over the next several meetings, starting with this evening, is all information that will feed into the work that we do at the board retreat around the expected school-wide learning results, as well as seeing where we are related to the progress on the overall strategic plan. So just keep that in mind as we get more documents, this is all building up to that conversation that we will be having at the end of June on that special retreat meeting. From that, we can move on to discussion of addendum items. Any discussion on the addendum items that were presented? Seeing none, we'll move on to our action items.
I'd like to move items A1 through A7.
Second. Any discussion on items A1 through A7? Seeing none, roll call vote, Mr. Stiles?
Okay, Ms. Barone?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Demizia?
Yes.
Mr. Fahey?
Yes.
Mrs. Fechner?
Yes.
Mr. Hunsinger?
Yes.
Mr. Martins?
Yes.
And Mr. Morrison?
Yes.
Okay, motion's
I'd like to move items C1 through C17 and C19 through C29.
One moment, please. We C15?
18 was skipped.
We skipped.
Oh, skipped, okay, thank you. I'll second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please, Mr. Stiles.
Yeah, the one we left out was C18, right?
C18.
I move C1 through C17 and then C19 through C29.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Barone?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Demizia?
Yes.
Mr. Fahey?
Yes.
Mrs. Fechner?
Yes.
Mr. Hunsinger?
Yes.
Mr. Martins?
Yes.
Mr. Morrison?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
I'd like to move items D1 through D8 as well as D14 and D15.
Second.
Any discussion on those items? Seeing none, roll call vote, Mr. Stiles.
Okay, Ms. Barone?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Demizia?
Yes.
Mr. Fahey?
Yes.
Ms. Fechner?
Yes.
Mr. Hunsinger?
Yes.
This is Mr. Martins?
Yes.
And Mr. Morrison?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
I'd like to move items D9 through D13.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please, Mr. Stiles.
Okay, Ms. Barone?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Demizia?
Yes.
Mr. Fahey?
Yes.
Mrs. Fechner? Yes. Mr. Hunsinger?
Yes.
And Mr. Morrison?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
This brings us to our second opportunity for public comment. This can be any item that the public wishes to address the board on. Please remember to limit your comments to 5 minutes. Introduce yourself and the town you represent.
Joelle Strona, Millington. I'm here tonight to speak as a concerned band parent. My husband and I have 2 music students, one junior and one soon will be a freshman. We're very unhappy with the administration's decision to wait until the 2018-19 academic year to hire an additional music department staff. Over the past few months, it's become clear that many Board of Ed members understand the need for more support. Parents and students have continuously expressed the need for increased staff and funding, but there still seems to be some kind of disconnect between what the students want, what the parents are asking for, and what the Board of Education sees as a need, and the actions that have been taken. We're frustrated and respectfully don't understand the need to wait. At the March 24th Board of Ed meeting, many parents and students, we presented our concerns for increased staffing, for improved curriculum, most importantly, a separate freshman band, and for increased funding. We presented facts that showed how underfunded and understaffed our program actually is when compared to similar New Jersey high schools. We also provided examples of student successes and personal testimonies as to the importance and impact that the music program has had to their academic and their personal lives. We publicly recognize that these requests are difficult, it wouldn't be easy, given the limited state aid and local tax levies. Money is tight, and we know that. The board and the administration both mentioned that the music program should and would be a priority as they further reviewed enrollment and budget items to see if any additions could possibly be made.
At the May 9th Board of Education meeting, we were very disappointed when the administration announced their plans of waiting to hire a vocal instrumental teacher until 2018 due to the need to properly plan for the position. What was a priority for the administration in March now is a back burner item. Our music program must wait yet another year and several months to begin the process of improving our program to be competitive with some similar New Jersey schools. I'd just like to highlight again some of the data we found, just to help put into perspective how far we lag behind. We have one music teacher per 1,100 students in the school. Similar schools in our county have 1 per 630, that's Ridge. Bridgewater Raritan, 1 per 576. Hillsborough, 1 per 473. Montgomery, 1 per 571 students. And Franklin, 1 per 429. Most New Jersey high schools with over 1,000 students do have a 3-band curriculum, including Hillsborough, Montgomery, Somerville, Ridge, and Bridgewater Raritan. And finally, nearly 23% of our students are enrolled in our music program, and that's up from 16% several years ago. What we're proposing are basically best practices. Most New Jersey high schools follow this 3-band curriculum and a higher staff-to-student ratio. They do this because it's what's in the best interest to our students and to the program, not what is easiest to plan for. Again, respectfully, we're at a loss as to why, given this data, the support hasn't been offered, and we need to wait till next year. Why the wait? I'm not an educator, I'm not an administrator, but I would think that there are music educators out there who are more than capable and willing to come on board now and fill the immediate need for improved and enhanced curriculum and instruction in our existing classes. And why not allow them to work with the administration and staff and insist in the planning and the research of a new expanded enhanced curriculum? Maybe it's because our program is good enough. And is that the message we want to send to our children, that they're doing a good enough job? So no need to really push yourself and to improve to the best of your ability, that the status quo is okay. Even though our students may be performing at a good enough level, we don't think the support they're getting is falling short. Mr. Morrison referenced a startling statistic at the March 21st Board of Ed meeting. Our high schools rank 6th from the bottom in the teacher-to-student ratio. And is that where we want to be? 6th from the bottom? I don't think so. Again, with our respect, we sincerely hope that you can recognize a more immediate need to provide support to the music program. We ask that you do what's in the best interest of our students now, not in September of 2018, because of the need for more planning and research. Honestly, thank you again for this opportunity to speak about this topic, which we feel very passionate about. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Sturman.
Thanks.
Other comments?
Hello, Elizabeth Peterson, Warren Township. I'm speaking today because I have 2 children, one at this school and the other starting in the fall. Both are really involved in the music program in school, and I believe that they deserve to have the program match up with those in other schools in the state. The strategic plan adopted by Watchung Hills at the start of this school year leads with the statement that the district will provide the resources, technology, and organizational change to achieve its goals with an intentional focus on putting students first. Parents and students invested in the school's music department came to several meetings and, starting in March, presented data that show Watchung Hills is not providing the resources, neither the staff nor the funding, that are in line with what other New Jersey schools provide their music students. At the budget presentation, we were pulled up short when we saw that none of our requests were being met in the upcoming school year's budget. One of the key changes to the program that we're asking for is a freshman band, a 3rd ensemble adding to the concert band and wind ensemble. The concert band has so many students that it is split and meets 2 separate periods each day. We would instead like to see the concert band utilize one of the 2 periods and the freshman band the other. At this late stage, this involves adjusting schedules since this wasn't addressed at an earlier date, and we'd like to see another staff member added to handle this 3rd band. What's best here for the students is not necessarily what's easiest for the administration. Our freshmen should have an introductory band where they all start and then move to one of the other 2 bands based on their abilities. One of the goals of the strategic plan is to create and expand programs and services that enhance the social and emotional wellness of all the students within a compassionate learning environment. My son and other band members have spoken here about their experiences within the music department at Watchung Hills and attended meetings to show their support. The words home and safe are used repeatedly to describe the band. My son found a niche within a really big school where he felt he could meet great people and be part of some really neat performance groups. My son also spoke in front of you about students choosing not to enroll in music or pulling out when the program fell short of expectations. Students who start as freshmen and end as seniors in the same concert band are one example of a shortfall. When students are willing to commit more than a year to the program, they should have the opportunity to move up with their peers instead of starting each year over with freshmen. Another shortfall is the department doesn't offer any one-on-one instruction or much in the way of small group instruction because it doesn't have the staffing. It's clear to me and many others that the music program can enhance the wellness of students, but not if it's understaffed and underfunded. Another goal listed in the strategic plan is to build and strengthen support structures that engage students in developing their individual potential, enable students to experience success in high school, and empower students to plan and prepare for post-secondary learning. So many of the students involved in the music department appreciate what this past year's teacher, Mr. McCullen, has done. He's a tremendous asset to the department, but there are too many demands for one teacher to handle. He can effectively teach all of the larger groups and help out students who want to spin off other groups too. I am fearful that it's too easy for the school to enjoy the performances that the music ensembles put on. They sit back and think that because those groups are doing such wonderful shows that support must be there. It's really important to point out that most, if not all, of the wind ensemble members are paying for private instruction. The school ensemble is just one more opportunity to play under a great director with classmates. And these are kids who are not looking to go into music in college. They're just exploring their abilities and enjoying the satisfaction of putting on a good show as one important part of a larger whole. The smaller ensembles are also mostly made up of students studying music outside of school. The musicals, which astound me each year I've attended, are accompanied by a pit orchestra that's hand-selected using professional players and Watchung Hill students who again audition. I doubt if more than 1 or 2 aren't doing much of their learning separate from the high school. The reason I want to drive home this point is to stress that the final product that is on show at school performances is not only coming from what's going on within the department. This seems to me to be unfair to those students who may not have the same means or may not give the music the same priority that others do give it. What we're asking for you is to give the music department, to give them simply what's considered best practices for many other music departments in high schools across the state. My son has been afforded some great opportunities through the music department, and he has already begun to reflect on these as he begins to apply for colleges. He earned a leadership position in the marching band, which has allowed him to work on many different skills as he works to inspire and guide others. He auditioned and earned a spot this year with the Central Jersey Region's 2 Symphonic Band. Barely a handful of students from Watchung Hills earn a spot with this organization each year. A school like J.P. Stevens in Edison, another public high school of similar size, boasts online that they sent 48 students to regions and 28 to all states this year. For our students, the actual preparation of a solo piece, scales, and sight reading practice that starts more than 6 months ahead of auditions is done entirely on a student's time and budget. This is a wonderful chance for students who are normally part of a larger whole to shine as individuals. Other high schools offer small group or one-on-one instructional time, and during this instruction time, students could begin to assess if they would like to work towards such an achievement. We need an additional staff member to enable more students to have access to participating in opportunities that others around the state are able to be in. My nephew in New York State gets instrumental lessons through high school, and he auditioned successfully several times for county and state bands with instruction from his public school and his own hard work, as did I when I was a high schooler. Playing in these elite ensembles is one of the most challenging and best memories from my years with band. Thank you for the time and the attention you've given me. I hope that you can see why we believe that our request for more staffing and funding for the music department does not deserve to be delayed again. Music has been an important part of both my children's education, and I want it to remain so. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Peterson. Other comments?
Gary Janakis from Sterling. This is my first time at the meeting. Thank you for all of you being here. I know a lot of you are volunteering your time to be here. I was interested to hear about the alternative scheduling committee and what they found happening at other schools, and a lot of people here seem to like the idea of this flex time. Most of you seem to kind of agree that that sounds like a good thing, and what was curious about that is that what the committee did was they looked to other schools to see how this school can measure up to what other schools are doing. Is that something that's often done?
Yeah.
And you like to see how other schools are performing so that you can make adjustments, right?
Well, just as a point of order, this section is allow you to present comments. It is not a dialogue with the board, so we're not going to necessarily be responding to your questions. But we certainly, point is well made. Yes, other aspects of our school do look at other practices around the state, so please continue.
Okay. Well, I like the idea of it too. But I just want to caution that it sounds like it's going to be reducing education time. So as you move forward with that, just keep, that in mind that, we're sending our kids to school for education. And yes, we all want them to have a better relationship with their teachers. So, just watch for that as you move forward. It sounds like some of that is going to be happening very quickly. You're not waiting until 2018 for something to decide to make a change to the curriculum. You can make a change that quickly, it sounds like, right? You're not going to respond. But it sounds like something that can be planned and done very quickly. So what I found interesting was that you went to other schools and allowed them to find out what's going on there so you could measure up. And Mr. Morrison, I think I read the newspaper recently that you had said with regards to the music program and adding any other staffing to help support it, is that it's time to put a stake in the ground because you've been kicking the can down the road. But the stake isn't happening until 2018. Is that correct? Is that the way it seems to be shaking out?
I would be happy to make comments once all public comment is closed, but we don't go back and forth during the public comment section.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope that you decide to put a stake in the ground sooner. And if we want to measure up to what other schools are doing, we should look at that for the music program as well. I also have a student coming into the music program next year, and I have a student who's in the school now who's having a great time with the music program. It seems that Mr. McCullen is very overwhelmed with the amount of students that he has, and the statistics that I see happening that has been presented to you clearly indicate that staffing is needed sooner rather than later. So I hope you would comment on that decision at your earliest convenience. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Other comments on this or any other topic?
My name is Nora Morrison. I'm from Warren Township. I'm speaking as a parent and also as a teacher that is on the food chain of this high school. I currently teach in Watchung, and I am one of the music teachers there and feed many students into this program, and I have a few of them here. I am dressed up because I just finished a concert of students that are going to be coming to this high school. As a teacher, we are working tirelessly to help these students pursue music throughout their college and their high school and hopefully adult life. And it starts with us. And they look to us for guidance on what to do when they get here. I'm speaking on a pedagogical platform. The reason we need 3 bands is the students that come from 4 sending districts come in on various levels. The older students should not be with them. It's like any other subject. They all graduate learning different skills along the way. And if you do not provide those levels for them, they will quit. It's fact, they will quit. And some of the things that they remember most about their high school is what they have done in the arts, forever. It helps them in their life skills, it helps them in their jobs when they go into their futures. What we do is a big deal. And we hear from students constantly about what it did for them in their lives. So 3 bands is just vital for this program. Otherwise, they don't progress. And a senior who may just want to continue being in band, but maybe doesn't want to be in the wind ensemble, but still wants to progress, doesn't want to be with freshmen, going back to those basics, which is what happens when there's only 2 bands. And these teachers need help. They need help so that they can provide for these students and provide for the community. So on that note, that's all I want to say. I'm concerned for, I have a senior. I'm here really, I've had 2 students, 2 children come through this program that have gotten a tremendous amount out of it, but I'm speaking for my students at my school, and even for the other 3 sending districts, that it's much more difficult for us to keep promoting this if it doesn't grow here. And it has to be filtered here for them to continue. We're not trying to make music majors. We're trying to give these students an opportunity to continue this throughout their lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Other comments?
Hi, my name's Carl Peterson. I'm a junior at this school currently, and I've been in the music program ever since I've been a freshman, and I've played trumpet since 4th grade. So, the music program, what we're asking for is basically to catch up with the need that we currently have. We're not looking to expand the program in the slightest. We're looking to bring us basically to where we should be relative to other districts. So what we're asking for is the 2nd band director position, as well as the 3rd ensemble between the wind ensemble and the concert band. So this 3rd ensemble, I'll start off here. Basically what happens, the freshmen, they come into the high school and they go into the concert band. Once they're in the concert band, they're surrounded with all these kids from other grades who can teach them how to be a part of a better ensemble. But then as they move on through the grades, if they're not quite good enough to make it into the elite wind ensemble, but they end up having to stay in the concert band. This is sort of like if a student comes in to the high school and takes geometry, but then each progressive year they stay in geometry. They don't have the opportunities to grow as a student if they're in the same class repeatedly, because they're surrounded by people who are sort of holding them back almost, because they're at a much higher skill level than the kids who surround them. So adding in this 3rd ensemble would sort of provide a middle ground. It's like how A is a middle ground between CP and an AP class. You couldn't possibly say that the AP kids would be happy in a CP class. They don't have the opportunity to expand their knowledge and expand to reach their ambitions as they would if they were able to move on to the AP class. So as with the 2nd band director position, the 2nd director would provide a much more individualistic approach to instruction. As it is currently, with Ms. Bird and Mr. McCollin handling all of the music students, Ms. Bird's completely on her own with the choir, and Mr. McCollin's completely on his own with the band programs. So therefore, with all of the band ensembles, there's the orchestra, the concert band, the wind ensemble, the jazz band, the pit orchestra, there's several other groups, there's the Dixieland band, I can't even think of all of them off the top of my head. But there are all these groups, and there's one man who's in charge of them all. And to have one man split up between all these things, you can't possibly expect him to be able to focus his full attention on any one group. For example, when Mr. Troika came in to speak to us for Tri-M, he spent the day with us in the band program. And throughout the day, he watched in band classes and gave his advice as he saw fit and was able to assist certain sections. I'm in the jazz band, and after school, he was there with us in the jazz band. And the trumpet section, we had this one riff, and we were having some trouble with it. And what he was able to do was pull us aside into a practice room and teach us this riff, while the rest of the band was able to continue with the music. By multitasking like this, and having us be able to go through this individual part, rather than having to have the entire band sit still while we went through the part, it was a beautiful way to get the band to be able to get so much more done in such a short amount of time. Imagine if he was there every single day with us, and we were able to get how much more done. Imagine how much our program would be able to expand. I'm just asking for these two things so that our band program can continue to expand and meet the needs of the students who come into it. Because every year, I know countless students who are stuck in concert band, who are in my grade or even seniors, and are upset with the level of the concert band, because them as musicians are so much more talented than what the concert band can offer them, simply because there are the lower talented members of the band who are also with them, and they can't possibly grow because they're holding them back. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Other comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment.
Okay, so thank you all for taking the time to come tonight, and, I don't think I need to say again how supportive we are of the arts and of the music program, and that's not just by saying it, I know you see our administrators and our district leaders and teachers at all of these events, sometimes chaperoning trips and events when teachers aren't available, working to plan the trips, each year that the band and the choir take to make sure the students have a meaningful experience, adding instruments and other items to the budget each year, making sure that our teachers have professional development opportunities. And I have to say that I will openly accept the criticism that I carefully plan and research initiatives before I implement them in a comprehensive high school of 2,200 students. I do take to heart the comment that the administrators are taking the easy way out. If we took the easy way out, then we would simply just do what we're asked by parents and by different interest groups all of the time, rather than really trying to carefully look at what's best for students and make sure that we do it in a way that is meaningful and purposeful. It was said that what was a priority in March is now on the back burner, and I can't disagree with that more, considering at the last meeting, we did lay out a plan for how we are looking to move forward with expanding the program. It was mentioned before that the alternative schedule, we're doing that quickly. We've been planning that for a year, and we're piloting it for a day next December. So we're actually not moving quickly with that. It takes a lot of time to make sure, by the time we implement it full out, that we have the kinks worked out. Everyone here knows, my entire administrative team and the teachers know that I'm very big on piloting things. So we start things on a small scale and then implement them on a larger scale. We also always do look to our surrounding and comparable districts, and we've done that for this, and we will be doing that more in the fall. We will be visiting other programs. In terms of the numbers that keep getting thrown around and as alleged facts, those numbers are they're not numbers that I can verify, because first of all, we don't budget that way, so I'm not even sure where those numbers are coming from. In terms of the staff-student ratios, taking our two teachers and dividing it by our entire student body is a very misrepresentative way to talk about that. When you look at the schools that we look at their programs all the time, Hunterdon Central, Milburn, Ridge, Bridgewater, Edison, North Hunterdon, Summit, Montgomery, Franklin, these have all gotten talked about. Their class sizes are exactly in line with what ours are. So to say that our student-to-teacher ratio is appropriate for the current enrollment and program that we offer is inaccurate. However, if you look at the percentage of our students enrolled in music, we are at about 21%. The state average is about 39%. So one of the things that we're looking at is how do we actually get more of our students involved in music and grow our program. And
other schools have more offerings, more current offerings than we've been able to offer. And that is why when you look at their number of students per teacher, it's less, because when you have classes that aren't ensembles, that are maybe a keyboarding class or your music theory class, there's only, anywhere from maybe 12 to 18 students in those courses. So that is going to decrease the total number of students that particular teacher instructs. So that is something that we are looking to do in the fall for the following year. We're looking to expand our program so that we can actually offer more, provide more offerings to hopefully draw more students into our music program, into the wonderful program that we have with a tremendous amount of very talented and dedicated students. I know some of you mentioned one-on-one instructional time. That is something that every teacher in every subject would like, and every parent would like their child to get in math, in English, in all of our subjects. And please just keep in mind that we, for the first time in a number of years, were faced with riffing teachers this year. We reduced 6.5 positions, and the board is still committing to add an additional position next year in the hopes that we will have additional offerings for these students. But we develop our schedule based on our enrollment, and our hiring of our staff is based on student needs. So we're reducing positions because we didn't have the enrollment needed to justify those positions. So we don't currently have the enrollment to justify that for band and music, but we're looking to actually expand the program and add a position. So that is a tremendous commitment on the part of the board, considering we're looking at other budgetary constraints, and I know, that someone had alluded to that. So I wanted to clarify some of that, and let you know, that this is something we're doing a lot of research and planning on, and it's not, I'm sorry if you don't understand why that's needed, but while this is, looking at one particular program, we are a comprehensive high school, so we have to make sure that when we make a programmatic decision in one area, we have to look at all of the implications on how that impacts our overall budget, and our overall offerings, and our overall schedule for all of our students. I hope that provides you with some insight. I don't expect you to be satisfied, because I know you want it to be done right now, but as the educational leader of the district, and, working with my district leadership team, and working with the teachers as well, we feel that this is in the best interest of the students. And so, it seems that at some point, we're going to have to agree to disagree on this, but I hope that, you can at least be appreciative of the fact that the board is willing to commit to hiring an additional teacher for the following year and actually add courses to the program, given that we've actually been having a lot of discussions of facing major budgetary constraints in the coming years.
Just a couple comments that I want to make. First of all, I appreciate all the parents coming out this evening, and the comments that were presented also for our students who have always represent the district so well when they come here before the board, so I appreciate that as well. Just a couple points of clarification. The state average for high school enrollment is not 39% in music, it's 18%.
If you look on the school performance report, that's where I pulled it from.
The state school performance report average combined high schools and middle schools together and gave you, and is putting forward an average for a combination of the two groupings and not giving you the percentage based on high schools. So we have to compare Watchung Hills with other high schools. Because we are a high school, we don't want to compare Watchung Hills to all of the high schools and middle schools, because that will give an inaccurate reading on how we compare. So the actual number is 18%, so certainly our participation is above the state average for high schools. Again, as it relates to the issue of, student-teacher ratios or music student-to-teacher ratios, those are legitimate metrics that other schools and other districts across the country look at. Certainly, the most important number is the music student to music teacher ratio, where we are 6th from the bottom in the state, which is what I've shared with the Education Committee, and I've commented on that in the prior board meeting. So I don't want to belabor the point, but I do want to at least make sure that the information that we're stating is accurate, and all that information is from the school performance reports. So again, this may be an issue where folks agree to disagree, but we've been having this conversation now for 4 years. The gentleman was correct earlier. I did say at some point in time, you have to put a stake in the ground and demonstrate what you value. At this point in time, I don't think it's a matter of whether we put a stake in the ground. I think it's a matter of when we put the stake in the ground, and that's, the point of discussion I think that we're having this evening. So with that, if there aren't any other comments, we'll continue on. Seeing none, other business?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I do. I'm a little astounded right now. I'm hearing all these numbers, and I agree, you cannot just take the student body and divide by the number of teachers. I think you're manipulating the numbers, and it's somewhat deceitful. I think you have a goal in mind, and you're presenting the numbers to back that up, and I find it very deceitful. And that's true right now, so I want to put a stake in the ground, and the administration has made the recommendation, and I don't, I find it inappropriate right now. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, Ms.
I'm
DiMazzio.
going to just
Again,
echo Lisa's comments. I think that we're getting into a situation where board members we presented to the administration a priority. The administration went back, did some research on it, developed a plan. It is not our job to say to them, we don't like the plan now, we want to do it differently, because we're not administrators, we're the board, and we pay these people to do their jobs, and we have to be cognizant of that fact. We have a committee structure, and the committee, education committee looked at it at some point in time, potentially as well, and discussed those issues. We have budget committees that talked about it. So we have all this committee structure, and then the administration takes that information in addition to understanding how to schedule stuff, how to develop programming, how to look at the budgetary constraints, and makes recommendations. And I agree with Lisa that we can't be the ones who kind of insert ourselves into that process any more than we already have.
Great. Any other comments?
Good. Was, if I could, I'm sorry, Bob, you had said that the administration is going to look to fill a position 2017-18.
2018, we're going to look to plan for the position this fall, post for it in January, and because the plan is, once we develop how we're looking to expand the program, we'll be able to offer those new courses in the program of studies next winter, so that we can schedule those courses in the 18-19 school year, and we'd be hiring that person for the 18-19 school year.
So in pushing it out to 2018, what were some of your hurdles that you couldn't look to put it in the 17-18 year?
We don't have a schedule for this person to follow. We don't have additional course offerings. The schedule for all of our students is complete. And the scheduling process starts months ago. And when we look, what we do is, when we initially start to build the budget, we may build in some additional positions where we're looking to that we think there may be growth in some different programs, world language sometimes. But those are placeholders, because we don't know until we see what the enrollment is going to be in the courses where we're going to need staffing. And we were able to meet the student requests for our vocal and instrumental music courses with our current staffing. But that being said, we want to expand the program and expand our offerings, but we're not prepared to do that right now. So what we want to do is use the fall to go visit some other high schools, look at their programs, look at what potential additional offerings we could have that we bring to Ed Committee, to then have them board approved to be offered for the following school year.
So with that, looking within the district, do you also look at the sending districts to see how many potential students that they might be sending up?
Yes.
Because I do know in the sending districts, their music and arts program have grown tremendously. And
They have, but we haven't seen the increase in enrollment coming in. We've seen some increase, but not as much as their increase has been. Because there are, and that's the other issue with scheduling, students sometimes have to make a choice. In terms, especially with band, that's what happens when you have what's it called, a singleton course, where it's one section offered during one period of the day. the students sometimes have to make choices of whether they're going to take that or something else. So that's what we try and navigate around as well.
Okay.
Just, one comment and a suggestion. We have seen a significant increase in the number of students enrolled in the music program over the past 4 years. We were in the mid-300s about 3 years ago. We're now, in the high 400s. So we are seeing the increase.
We're 420 right now.
We are seeing the increase enrollment that's been coming up from the growing programs. Greenbrook's expanded. We see the programs coming up from Watchung. So it is, in light of declining enrollment in the building overall, this is a program that continues to expand and grow. And recognizing the position of the board members and certainly the position of the administration, as Liz said, at some point in time, you agree to disagree. And, I certainly understand that, and certainly understand the sentiment of some of my fellow board members, although I don't necessarily agree with them. The one point that I would say, though, is that if we are serious as a district about this, and really want to look at what's the best way to expand this program and prepare ourselves for implementing a program that the administration has talked about, looking at other districts and other models. What other districts usually do is what they call program reviews. And in a program review, they actually bring in an external evaluator to provide additional information and comparison information to augment the information that is gathered by the internal staff. We've talked about this type of evaluation for potentially the dance program. We've talked internally about getting on a sequence for other academic programs. If we're going to take the time to invest in figuring out how this program should move forward, I would like to recommend for consideration by this board that we augment the work that the administration does with an external evaluator to help make sure that we have the best information that we can have so that we can make the best decisions as a board moving forward to support this program. So that's no action to be taken at this point in time, just a suggestion for consideration. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, other business. Any other business? Just a reminder, CSA evaluations are open, so please, please, please get online and get that information moving forward. Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. Thank you.